Yes, and this is Thor.
He says, I'm ready to. Just to be cute. All right. Hello, everyone. Today we are doing lesson 57. It is a review of lessons 31. Yeah, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. And we will be reading chapter 6, section 5, and subsection A. Let's begin. We're going to have lots of fun with this. Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. Section 5, The Lessons of the Holy Spirit. Like any good teacher, the Holy Spirit knows more than you do now, but he teaches only to make you equal with him. You had already taught yourself wrongly, having believed what was not true. You did not believe in your own perfection. Would God teach you that you had made a split mind when he knows your mind only as whole? What God does know is that his communication channels are not open to him, so that he cannot impart his joy and know that his children are wholly joyous. Giving his joy is an ongoing process, not in time but in eternity. God's extending outward, though not his completeness, is blocked when the sonship does not communicate with him as one. So he thought, my children sleep and must be awakened.
Shall I go on with the next paragraph?
Well,
Because it's so near at the beginning, I don't know that any commentary can be made. It's kind of in the middle of something here. So let me continue on and then make a comment.
okay.
How can you wake children in a more kindly way than by a gentle voice that will not frighten them, but will merely remind them that the night is over and the light has come? You do not inform them that the nightmares that frighten them so badly are not real, because children believe in magic. You merely reassure them that they are safe now, that you train them to recognize the difference between sleeping and waking, so they will understand they need not be afraid of dreams. And so when bad dreams come, they will themselves call on the light to dispel them. Now that does bring up something for me. Something came up in Facebook today, and somebody said, whatever you do, don't pee in your dreams.
Oh, yeah. And it's true. Think about that, folks. If you have a dream that you're getting ready to go to the bathroom, suddenly you are waking up in real life and running to the bathroom. Or you're having a wet bed and having to change the sheets and air the mattress and flip it and all kinds of other things.
I remember when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, something like that happened, and I dreamed I was peeing off of a cliff. And I was like, woo, peeing off a cliff, peeing off a cliff. And then I woke up and guess what? No, it was just a dream. So it's not so easy to tell what's a dream and what's real.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the dream, you're in the midst of it, you don't think about the past and the future. You're only thinking about the moment of now, which is kind of ironic because they say in order to live your dreams, live in the moment of now. Don't worry about the future or stress about the mistakes you made in the past.
Yeah.
Kind of ironic, huh?
Yeah, and it really does make you think about your dreams. Growing up, my dreams had a tendency to become true. I tended to have prophetic dreams. and I still have them. Not as often. I don't remember my dreams half as much as I used to. But I do wake up with an understanding that something's different each day. I can feel it. What it is, I don't know, but I can feel that something is different every day.
You know what? I feel lately like I can express my thoughts and feelings completely and fully to anyone that I know without feeling worry about their judgment. Like, I can tell them how I feel about our political choices or political candidates and not feel like I'm upsetting anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I'm coming from a universal standpoint. I mean, everyone pretty much agrees that, yeah, the candidates suck, but we're just going to choose the lesser of two evils.
Well, you know what I keep getting shown is that it's going to come together with something along the lines of Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders. And that instead of working against each other, they're going to work with each other. Because going back to constitutionalism, which is what Ted Cruz wants, we can also bring in some of the socialistic healthcare type stuff, schooling type stuff that's needed as a fundamental base within our society, but where it makes each person individually responsible. So that's one of the things I keep getting shown, is that kind as like a grid pattern is what I'm being shown.
What I'm just being shown is just that I'm getting like this feedback, like this feeling that what I'm sending out there with my thoughts and my ways of thinking and the sharing of this way of thinking, um, it's spreading like wildfire because it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately going to be what brings us out of the grips of the cabal. The fact that people are going to say, no, we know this technology is out there. We know it exists. We want this technology that allows the UFOs to fly with unlimited amount of energy and our houses to be powered with unlimited amounts of power and our cars. We know that technology is out there. We want to join our space brothers, and we don't want to be on this planet for another 1,000 years in darkness. It's not what we want.
Okay. So, what I get from that paragraph too is how we don't teach our children that the dreams are false and fake. We teach them that they are simply a nightmare and they're awake now. The light's on, and to always seek the light. When they wake up and the lights are on and they can see around and see where they're at, then they know they're awake. And a lot of times we don't really stop to ask them what the nightmare was about. We just simply tell them, It's over. Go back. It was a bad dream. Go back to sleep. So it makes you wonder sometimes, what was it that had them so terrified? All right, continuing on. A wise teacher teaches through approach, not avoidance. He does not emphasize what you must avoid to escape from harm, but what you need to learn to have joy. Consider the fear and confusion a child would experience if he were told, "Do not do this because it will hurt you and make you unsafe. But if you do this instead, you will escape from harm and be safe, and then you will not be afraid." It is surely better to use only 3 words. Do only that. This simple statement is perfectly clear, easily understood, and very easily remembered. Yeah, it's muddying the waters with more than needs to be said. It's confusing them by giving them too many options to try and wiggle through.
The Holy Spirit never itemizes errors because he does not frighten children, and those who lack wisdom are children. Yet he always answers their call, and his dependability makes them more certain. Children do confuse fantasy and reality, and they are frightened because they do not recognize the difference. The Holy Spirit makes no distinction among dreams. He merely shines them away. His light is always the call to awaken whatever you have been dreaming. Nothing lasting lies in dreams, and the Holy Spirit, shining with the light from God Himself, speaks only for what lasts forever. I kind of got tongue-tied on the last part of it, so I was focusing more on trying to spit all that out than understand what that was actually saying.
Yeah.
So, what did you gather from that?
Well, from up at the top, what I'm getting is the understanding that Holy Spirit looks at us as children. And in everything, He looks at us as just having nightmares, having dreams. And that in everything, He realizes we just need to be awakened. When we're awakened to the truth, He then will show us everything that's true. He turns on the light, and everything's okay. We're back home with Father. And think about it. When you were a kid and you would sit there playing cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians, hide and seek, tag, all these different things with your friends. Growing up outside playing in the woods, out in the fields, in the yards, in the neighborhood, wherever. You were able to extend yourself in your imagination, build forts, all kinds of things that our children these days don't do. They are being taught to stay locked in a box and only see an imaginary world and not try to create outside of them anymore. To continue creating all within their own mind. And to live in that world in their own mind. Not extending themselves to the world outside them anymore. Separating themselves more and more and more from who they truly are, who they are here in this reality. All right, let's move on to section A. And bless you, dear.
Thank you.
'To have, give all to all. When your body and your ego and your dreams are gone, you will know that you will last forever. Perhaps you think this is accomplished through death, but nothing is accomplished through death because death is nothing. Everything is accomplished through life, and life is of the mind and in the mind. The body neither lives nor dies because it cannot contain you who are life. If we share the same mind, you can overcome death because I did. Death is an attempt to resolve conflict by not deciding at all. Like any other impossible solution the ego attempts, it will not work. So, I think I'm getting what this is talking about here. When your body and your ego and your dreams are gone, you will know that you will last forever.
Because you're an eternal being.
Exactly.
God does not create the perishable.
And it doesn't mean that in a literal sense, folks. When I had my first motorcycle accident back in 2004, 2005, I laid there in that bed for a long time, looking at the body I was in that I couldn't do anything with, recognizing that it was just the shell. And I was trapped within this broken shell. And in that way, I recognized that my body was gone. It was no longer a part of me. And all my egoic beliefs and dreams have been called to question. And they're all gone. The flights of fancy that I had. Now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't stop me from hoping and dreaming like everybody else that I'll win Publishers Clearinghouse or the HGTV Dream Home. Hey, they say if you do the work, if you put in the time and do the work, sometimes you get paid back for it. Well, doing the work is simply putting my information in and clicking enter. Pretty simple. Scrolling through a list of things and hitting enter. I don't have to do anything else.
Here's the way I see it. When I feel like I am doing God's work, when I feel like I am spending more of my time asking, what is it you would have me do? And then doing that, I feel like whatever finances comes in or doesn't come in must be totally appropriate. Because if I'm only asking for the Holy Spirit to lead me on what to do at any given moment, then how could anything ever go wrong?
Yeah. I see what you're saying, and I get it, and I agree with you. Everything is for our benefit, and we have been here to understand what it's like to live in poverty.
Yeah. And at the same time, I had this feeling like if I'm doing God's work, I shouldn't need to hoard stuff or things. I should be able to live a life with as few of things as possible.
Yeah.
And be perfectly provided for without having to hold on to a bunch of things. Particularly if it's like the things of this world are of no value.
Yeah.
Then fine. Give me what is of value. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what he's doing right here with these recordings with you and me.
Yeah.
This is what's of value.
Exactly. This is what is of value. There's not much else that is of value. You know, as I was saying before, in letting go of my attachment to my body and the beliefs that I was my body, and all those egoic beliefs and dreams that I've been taught to believe are true, that I should be striving for. To have the big house and to have the job that has the high pay, and to simply connect with people to get something from them. Letting go beliefs of that nature, and letting go of the beliefs that I've been taught to believe are true. I don't need to die. That's a choice. I always will have a choice. And right here, that's what it's saying to me, is that I will always have a choice in that. You know, everything is accomplished through life, and life is of the mind and in the mind. It's what we believe in, folks. If we want to believe in death, we're going to die. If we want to believe in life and living, we're going to live.
Death is but an illusion.
Exactly. It's a lie.
We cannot die.
Exactly.
We can go through an illusion of death, but no, there is no death.
You know, and as it states here, the body neither lives nor dies because it cannot contain you who are life. The body simply is a tool for us to do the things we want to do, to experiment and try the things we want to try. Think about that. All right. Move on.
Where are we?
God did not make the body.
God did not make the body because it is destructible, and therefore not of the kingdom. The body is the symbol of what you think you are. It is clearly a separation device, and therefore does not exist. The Holy Spirit, as always, takes what you have made and translates it into a learning device. Again, as always, he reinterprets what the ego uses as an argument for separation into a demonstration against it. If the mind can heal the body, but the body cannot heal the mind, then the mind must be stronger than the body. Every miracle demonstrates this.
Exactly. It's why he keeps telling me, folks, that everything is connected. Connect the dots. Everything I think I know and believe to be true was taught to me. It was learned. And it's those beliefs that are causing my physical pain and suffering. It's causing the diseases within me. When I have those thoughts, I have an emotional response, which my body then translates into a physical pain, a physical ailment. And it's all based off of the beliefs that I'm holding forth as being true. And every time that you clear out these things that you are believing from the things that you've experienced and have been taught through those experiences, I've shared with you all about my childhood. Alex has shared his childhood with you. Think about that. There were things that we learned at very, very early age. We're talking couple of months old here. And those things taught us to believe that we were wrong in some way. And as we heal those things, our bodies are healed. Our minds are healed, our bodies are healed. And we internally are healed. We no longer have that emotional baggage of it any longer. And that's why it says every miracle demonstrates this. It's healing. All right, moving on to paragraph 3. I have said that the Holy Spirit is the motivation for miracles. He always tells you that only the mind is real because only the mind can be shared. The body is separate and therefore cannot be part of you. To be of one mind is meaningful, but to be one body is meaningless. By the laws of mind, then, the body is meaningless. And what I've been shown before is I've been given a picture of the universe and us on planet Earth. And within the planet Earth are these little mini planet Earths. And they're going up and around in this grid pattern, like a triangular grid pattern, all over and around the planet is like a shield. And all those little mini Earths are each individual being on the planet, creating their own mini world of belief and illusion, all within a bigger sphere bubble. And that when we can reach a point of having where everyone reaches a Christ-like mind of understanding their connectivity to their brothers and the connectivity of life being precious and seeing with one mind, one heart, it starts to build this pyramid to a one Christ mind of there being only one mind being shared by everyone, like a telepathy, being telepathic. Now think about that. It's not that Christ is going to be reborn and show back up on planet Earth in physical form. It's that each of us come into our own Christ mind within ourselves. And as we do so, we share and we extend that to our brothers so they can wake up to their own Christ mind within themselves. Because we each have to do the work on our own. No one can do it for us. And it's recognizing and helping our brothers recognize and see the truth that they aren't their bodies. That everything that's materialistic that they've been basing their life and their truth on are false idols. It's getting back to what's of value, which is Holy Spirit's guidance to show us the truth of that. What's truly valuable. It's the connection we make with one another, being to being, whether that's human or animal. In everything, we have to make a connection. Alex?
To the Holy Spirit, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. This is familiar enough to you by now, but it has not yet become believable. Therefore, you do not understand it and cannot use it. We have too much to accomplish on behalf of the kingdom to let this crucial concept slip away. It is a real foundation stone of the thought system I teach and want you to teach. You cannot perform miracles without believing it, because it is a belief in perfect equality. Only one equal gift can be offered to the sons of God, and that is full appreciation. Nothing more and nothing less. Without a range, order of difficulty is meaningless, and there must be no range in what you offer to your brother.
Yeah, so it's recognizing that anything that he lays before you you'll be able to do it without difficulty. Why? Because he will lay the groundwork. You need do nothing, just let him lead the way. If you need things like equipment, well, that's what we got. We got the equipment. We didn't have to keep going out seeking and searching. It's coming to us.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured if God wanted me to do the multi-camera recording, it's now in his hands. Because I've taken his message that he gave me, and I'm heeding what I believe his message is. Mm-hmm. And if I'm incorrect in this, then he needs to step in.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think he farted. That stinks. Woo! So, yeah, where were we? Yeah, stinky.
All right, so, everything comes down to belief, folks. What is it that you are truly believing in and placing your faith, trust, and belief into? It's these beliefs. And these beliefs are what limit us. And what it's telling us here is that if we believe we can heal, and we believe it wholeheartedly with every fiber of our being, they have to believe it too. It's the only way that Jesus was able to heal. That's why when he went back to his hometown, he was not able to perform any miracles there. Why? Because nobody believed in him. All they kept seeing is what they projected of him being as he was as a child, as a young man, before he came to know himself. And it's our egos that make it so that there's a level of difficulty in everything. Makes it seem that some things are harder than others. I'm getting told always that simply isn't true. It's as difficult as we choose to believe it to be. It's a choice, and it's a belief. All right, moving on to paragraph 5. The Holy Spirit, who leads to God, translates communication into being, just as he ultimately translates perception into knowledge. You do not lose what you communicate. The ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. The Holy Spirit sees the body only as a means of communication, and because communicating is sharing, it becomes communion. Perhaps you think that fear as well as love can be communicated and therefore can be shared. Yet this is not so real as it may appear. Those who communicate fear are promoting attack, and attack always breaks communication, making it impossible. Egos do join together in temporary allegiance, but always for what each one can get separately. The Holy Spirit communicates only to what each one can give to all. He never takes anything back because he wants you to keep it. Therefore, his teaching begins with the lesson to have, give all to all. So,
By the way, I just want to mention it in my version that there was no second sentence. It was completely removed.
what second sentence?
I don't know. It's completely removed. But so it goes from the beginning, the Holy Spirit who leads God.
Go ahead and read the whole paragraph, please.
Oh, boy. The Holy Spirit who leads to God translates communication into being, just as he ultimately translates perception into knowledge. The ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. The Holy Spirit sees the body only as a means of communication, and because communicating is sharing, it becomes communion. Perhaps you think that fear as well as love can be communicated, and therefore can be shared. Yet this is not so real as it may appear. Those who communicate fear are promoting attack, and attack always breaks communication, making it impossible. Egos do join together in temporary allegiance, but always for what each one can get separately. The Holy Spirit communicates only what each one can give to all. He never takes anything back, because he wants you to keep it. Therefore, his teaching begins with the lesson to have, give all to all.
Yeah. So it's funny because that one sentence states, you do not lose what you communicate.
Right. So why would anyone take that out? You do not lose what you communicate.
Or add it in.
Well, I would think that things would be taken out, but we have seen where things haven't seemingly added in.
Added in, taken out,
Yeah.
rearranged. But you know what I'm getting from that is
No.
our communications with our brothers are and do become holy communions as we extend our truths to each other. And in extending our truths, we extend what it is Holy Spirit is showing us. And we only share the truth and the light. You know, ego minds can join together. But as it's stated there, they only join together for a temporary allegiance, but always for what each one can get separately. So they're always joining together to get from others, never for what they have to give. It's looking at folks as a resource, connecting with them, networking with them to get something, not because you have anything to give. And what we are being told to share here is something that can be shared with everyone. It's not to be held to ourselves. It is to be shared with everyone and given freely. All right, can you read the last paragraph before we move on to the lesson?
This is a very preliminary step, and the only one you must take for yourself. It is not even necessary that you complete this step yourself, but it is necessary that you turn in that direction. Having chosen to go that way, you place yourself in charge of the journey, where you and only you must remain. This step may appear to exacerbate conflict rather than resolve it, because it is the beginning step in reversing your perception and turning it right side up. This conflicts with the upside down perception you have not yet abandoned, or the change in direction you would not have been necessary. Some remain at this step for a long time, experiencing very acute conflict. At this point, they may try to accept the conflict rather than take the next step towards its resolution. Having taken the first step, however, they will be helped. Once they have chosen what they cannot complete alone, they are no longer alone. And that's what I'm getting that we have gotten with the Holy Spirit, helping us along the way, where I'm to the point where almost every day now, I'm telling the Holy Spirit, please let me know when it's time to get out of bed. Let me know when you'd have me go to work.
Yeah.
Because He is in a much better position to know where I can serve best and when I can serve best. And even when I have a day off, when I'm best off just laying in bed all day and relaxing.
And sleeping.
Some people need to get sick in order to get some good rest in bed. I'll take a hint from the Holy Spirit. It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah, and it's a lot less destabilizing.
Exactly.
When our egos aren't in place, it's like it's not so detrimental to our mental well-being. In everything, it's taking the first step to willingly start paying attention to what you're thinking, to your thoughts that are in your mind, and then recognizing that they are your core beliefs. They are attached to your core beliefs, the things that are defining you and defining the world around you to be true. These are the judgments that have been handed on to you, one generation to the next. So, this was Chapter 6, The Lessons of Love, Section 5, The Lessons of the Holy Spirit, and subsection A, to have, give all to all. We are now going to move on to the lesson of the day, which is lesson 57, which is a review. First off, with number 1 is lesson number 31. I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up my insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. So, it's recognizing that if you've been doing this work, folks, and it's recognizing how your thoughts are connected to everything, how you are projecting out what it is you're believing to be true. And in everything, it's your choices, your decisions, your egoic beliefs at play in the background. No one's doing anything to you. It's all what you are choosing to believe to be true. And it's talking about once you recognize that, the chains that have been binding you your entire life start to loosen. You start to say, wait a minute, no, I'm not going to accept your judgments of me anymore. And you start rebelling. You know, the prison door is now open and you're going, hell no, I'm not going back into that cave. I'm not going back in there conforming to someone else's dictates. And now you're recognizing the truth of the things you've been believing in and holding forth as being true or lies. So in that way you turn around and you're going, screw this. I'm walking out of here. I'm going to believe as I choose to believe. I'm going to do what feels right in my heart. And not because someone else said it or I read it in a book somewhere. I'm not going to be kept prisoner by someone else's beliefs any longer. All right.
I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this, and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. He is where God would have him be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner.
So what that's talking about, folks, is anytime you're judging your brother, you are placing them in a box. And you are placing your thoughts and your beliefs on them and wanting them to conform to what it is you believe and you're dictating to be true. And it's why it states that you have invented the world you see. Anytime you believe someone else is doing something, it is because you are judging it in some way with what you believe to be true. Lesson 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribe to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son. It must be then that the world is really a place where he can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom. Okay, so I see everything upside down. Thoughts are the opposite.
So while you're reading that, I just want to share something. I saw a vision when you were reading this out loud. I saw a vision of the world where we didn't restrict people based on who they were or where they were from. That we stopped fearing people from other countries,
Other planets.
other countries, and saw everyone and took everyone on face value, on how they acted, how they behaved. You know, yeah, check their IDs, do the normal stuff, but I just saw a vision where it was like there was no more fear in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's where everyone was seeing everyone else as equal. Everyone wanting to share equally of everything. Food, water, clothing, everything. No one wanting to create things to make money. They want to create things to better the world in general.
Right, because when we live
And
in a
society.
world that has no lack, everything is basically free. Because, we have the technology now to run all of our farms and all of our transportation equipment robotically.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is that a lot of the jobs that people do are not necessary to do. And we have the technology to be completely taken care of.
So, if you consider that for a moment, it frees people to then pursue the things that they want to pursue.
That's right.
And if money is not an object or an issue, you would get people going to these places that would want to be, traveling around the world. And you would get people that would rather stay and not travel and just run a business. They enjoy doing what they do. And then every once in a while they'd be like, you know what? I want to go take a cruise. I want to go see it, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Eiffel Tower, something, And as things change for everyone out there, we end up just freely changing what it is we do. It makes me think of that movie, that book, The Host, where they made everything, the utopia they had created was where there was free medical, there was no diseases, and one of our snakes fell off their branch. So there's, no diseases, and in everything, they gave freely. You went into a store and you only got what you truly needed. Went up to the register, they rang it up so they knew what to order to put back up on the racks. People were constantly coming out with new designs for different things. And they would trade things out, and people would say, well, I like this one from before. Can you please get me that one again? And they had machines that made it. And it was just simply, a matter of what was necessary, what was needed, and what was being asked for.
Yeah, there was no thought of taking more.
Taking more
because
than what you need.
There was no thought or idea of lack to begin with. So why would you ever take more than what you need? It's just a burden
Exactly.
to have more than what you need. And that's kind of how I feel nowadays, that having more than what we need is a burden. And I'm constantly feeling this need to lighten the load.
Yeah. Yeah, recognizing what it is that we value and what we don't.
Right.
So, it's recognizing that you're not sitting here in a prison, folks, except for one of your own making. In everything, you have the choice and the decision on what it is you're going to believe to be true. And when you choose to see everything differently, and your eyes begin to open and to truly see the world around you, you are taking those first steps when you start asking for that correction from Holy Spirit. You're taking the first steps to healing. And that's the first steps to true freedom. All right. I could see peace instead of this.
I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I made up for it to obey. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it, and I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me.
So, as we were just speaking about, when you start seeing the world differently, when you start choosing differently and choosing with Holy Spirit and asking to see everything truly, you start seeing the world as it truly is without the blinders on, without the filters put in place by the ego. Continuing on with the last paragraph, 35. Lesson 35. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. So, I keep talking about recognizing the equality of your brothers, seeing each other as equals, not just your human brothers, but the animal creatures around you as well, the plants and the trees. Everything is equal. They are all living beings. They have their own life spirit, their own energy.
They're all expressions of God.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I keep getting reminded of, that, yeah, abundance may be lacking in the financial area, but that's necessary in order to control certain situations and certain tendencies that I have to get a little bit overexcited about material objects. But where I'm really rich in abundance is the love that we have from these animals.
Yeah. Very true. All right, folks, that was lesson 57, review of lessons 31 through 35. And chapter 6, the lessons of love, section 5, the lessons of the Holy Spirit, subsection A, to have, give all to all. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. My name is Sabrina Reyenga.
And I am Alex Reyenga.
Hugs, love, light, and blessing to all of you. We love you. Be the light. Namaste.